Now I've read and I've seen announcements to the effect of that you will not be Batman again.
I am, yeah. I have decided. No, thank you very much. You know, I tried to direct a version of it and worked with a really good screenwriter, but just kind of couldn't come up with a version that couldn't crack it. And so I thought it was like, you know, time to let someone else take a shot at it. They got some really good people, so I'm. Well, I don't know.
There we go. That's it. Confirmation. Affleck is out. My theory of him coming back later on as an older Bruce Wayne or to complete out the Justice League duology, if they ever were going to do it, that's gone now. Affleck, you heard it himself. You heard it yourself, folks. You heard it yourself. Obviously, Affleck has decided to step down because he couldn't crack the script. He couldn't do it himself. He couldn't get it made. And that sucks. That does. That really sucks. I'm actually, I was out and about tonight. People were tweeting at me and sending me the clip saying, it's over, it's done. He's ending his reign as Batman. And it kind of feels, this is going to sound so stupid, and I don't want to come across as entitled, but it kind of feels like a little bit of a slap in the face to me personally. Because I remember Comic-Con 2013 when it was announced that he was going to be Batman, and people were losing their mind over it. Not in a good way. And I was out there day one, like Affleck will be a good Batman. And it took nearly 3 years to get to see him in the role in Batman v Superman, which look, theatrical cut, terrible. Director's cut, awesome. Third act, still problematic. All right, fine. But it was the start of something good. It, in my mind, at least. I've grown very attached to the DCEU over these last 6 years almost. And then Justice League was a letdown. But with the Batman on the horizon and what could be accomplished with him directing a Batman movie, starring in a Batman movie, we're talking possible, potential Oscar-winning, Best Picture of the Year Batman movie with Ben Affleck. Words that I never thought I would ever actually say. But here we are. At least here we were in that reality. And that reality is now, well, that reality is now dead. And I'm not happy about it. I personally don't believe that this was his choice. I don't. I think that this was DC Films and the constant shakeups. Because if you recall, after Batman v Superman came out and had problems, they brought Affleck in to be an exec producer on Justice League and to oversee the edit. And that ultimately didn't really happen because Affleck's own life kind of fell apart. And a lot of that, I think, has to do with the fact that Live by Night, his directorial follow-up to Argo, crashed and burned in January 2017 when Warner Brothers released it during a dead month. And I think that really hit him in the ego. I think that really kind of set him off course. So much so that now Ben Affleck, Academy Award-winning director, Best Picture Helmer, multiple Academy Awards for writing, directing, is going to be in a Netflix movie. That doesn't happen to people like Affleck. But here we are. Here we are. I think the shakeup at DC with the DCEU and Walter Hamada coming in, and obviously the fact that we're hearing now that Man of Steel 2 was shelved in order to make way for Supergirl, with Birds of Prey being their big release for next year, along with Wonder Woman 2, pushing more for female-led films both in front of the camera and behind the camera, that the role of Ben Affleck as Batman was one that we probably weren't going to see again for quite some time, especially with Matt Reeves coming in to direct a younger Batman movie. The entire DCEU at this point is up in the air, and I think that's more, it's definitely a problem for Warner Brothers, but it's a super big issue for this too. So I think Affleck, for the most part, definitely is not happy about it. If I'm being honest, I'm not happy about it. But I think it's probably the best thing for him. He's had a lot going on in his personal life that I think he needs to focus on himself and his family. So by not having the pressure of the Batman on his shoulders, I think that's probably for the best. My only hope is that somewhere down the road, they bring him back as older Bruce Wayne in a Batman Beyond film, or they get Michael Keaton, either or. Keaton's more age appropriate at this point, but I still really like Ben Affleck as Batman. And he never got to see his full potential, and that is just unfortunate. I think he would have been able to see his full potential if DC would have gotten their shit together. But they've been so all over the map with everything, and they take every new film that comes out, whether it's good or bad, always seems to reset the clock, no matter how you look at it, because it's all director or creative driven content, not producer driven, which is their biggest problem. I hope he stays on as a creative entity. I think him being executive producer on the Batman will be good. I think him still being a contribution story-wise, hopefully even directorial-wise one day, will be good. I would like to say that while he's done playing Batman, that doesn't mean that he's done playing Bruce Wayne. So maybe we'll see him there. Although that's probably just really stupid fanboy wishful thinking, which is exactly kind of how I'm looking at this whole situation. My reaction to this is more fanboy than anything else, and I can acknowledge that. I can admit that. But I've grown very fond of Ben Affleck as Batman in the last couple of years, as I've grown very fond of Ben Affleck as a director, as a creative. I mean, this is a guy who in 2000 called me a teenage racist after I goaded him on the forums of Project Greenlight. It's a whole other story in and of itself, but I've always kind of had this, you know, like a little bit of a chip on my shoulder when it comes to Affleck, but he won me over quite a bit. He won me over quite a bit. And so it's really sad. I think if I'm being honest with myself and honest with you guys, the way I kind of look at it is I view the DCEU as like the massive underdog. And I always tend to root for the underdogs more so than not. And that's one of the biggest issues here is Affleck always felt like the underdog that never got his chance to shine. And DC's going in an entirely different direction, which is fine. It just sucks when something that you care about doesn't ever get to see its full potential reached. And at least now we know. At least now we know. Jimmy Kimmel made light of it, obviously. They made a joke out of the whole thing, obviously. But I think to those of us who've spent 6 years really liking the DCEU for what it was going to be, what it was becoming, and then having this be confirmed now, it just sucks. It's like, what's going to happen next? Henry Cavill is out of Superman. I mean, that's probably already happening. And it just, with this kind of departure, I find myself not caring as much about DC. And I don't know how to feel about that. Because I care a lot about Marvel. I care a lot about Marvel because Marvel, over the span of 11 years, has kept a persistent storyline going. And I think maybe I take some of that care for those characters and I maybe project that onto the DCEU. Like, I want them to be Marvel. I want them to do what Marvel does. I want them to be better. And I think a lot of fans want that too. But there's been some unforeseeable problems with DC, obviously. So here we are. This is where we find ourselves. Ben Affleck is no longer Batman. And honestly, this is going to sound so stupid, but we're all kind of lesser as a result, in my opinion. I don't know. Maybe the next guy will be even better or just as good or something. I got no idea. But pinkies up for Ben Affleck as Batman. Leave your comments below. I am curious to know, are you happy about this? Are you sad about this? Am I just overdoing it? Let me know your thoughts. If you guys want to help support the channel, you can always subscribe. Give it a thumbs up. Type Batman in the chat so I know. And yeah, I will. I'm just gonna leave you guys with this last farewell from Affleck in regards to Batman.
Before we do this, is there anything you want to say? Any official statement you would like to make?
I don't know. I guess I'm not Batman.
He is not Batman anymore. Hoist the cape, raise it to the rafters, and Ben Affleck, you are not Batman. Goodbye, Batman.
Hey, thank you so much for watching the video. I greatly appreciate it. While you're here, feel free to check out that subscribe button. You know, help the channel out. Or you can watch any of the newest videos and make sure that you're caught up to date with what's going on in Hollywood and entertainment. So that way, when you're at work tomorrow, you can wow your friends with the information you learned from watching these videos. That's right. I said it. Subscribe.